All right, hey everybody, this is the B-flat brass MusiCamp audition. If you haven't already, you should go ahead and print off your music. Some people like to just read it online, but I think it's good to have a hard copy. You can write your music on it, any notes you have, you can keep it with you. So anyway, I'm going to play every episode, every excerpt, and then I'll talk about it afterwards. If you look in the comments, you'll see the timestamp so you can jump to whatever you need. If you have any questions, you can type them in the comments below. You can also share some encouraging words or some of your own tips with everyone else who's watching. So let's go ahead and get started. Here is number one. On number one, you're going to want to make sure that you're playing with a steady tempo and that you're playing with a full volume, okay? There's no dynamics or tempo written, but that's just a general rule for any scale or study like that. Full-length notes with a good, strong sound, unless otherwise marked. What they're listening for is, can you hit each of those pitches with a perfect tone, and do you have a good sense of rhythm? You should be articulating all those with your tongue as well. Same as number two, which we're going to get to right now. Here's number two. Same rules apply to number two as number one. A good sound, a steady tempo, a solid articulation. All right, you're skipping around, your fingers are working a little harder, or your slide's working a little harder, so they're going to be watching and listening very intently on those. Don't forget about your last note, that C. It needs to be full length, a whole note, a whole note. Number three. The standard rules apply for any scales where there's not a tempo written. You're going to want to play it at a steady tempo, not too slow, not too fast. They really want to hear what the judges are listening for, or your adjudicators, is do they have a good, consistent sound going from their lower range to their higher range? Are they playing it musically? Are they connecting the notes? As well as your fingerings. Do they understand that key signature, B flats and E flats? All right, they're listening and looking for all those things. Number four. On number four, obviously it's written to play it song-like, cantabile. Okay, so this is a legato style. The notes are very smooth and connected, almost like a lullaby. And you'll notice I had a little bit of growth in there where I would crescendo and decrescendo, even where it wasn't written. That's totally appropriate for any solo or piece you're ever playing for a competition or an audition. Use your musicality within the written dynamics, and of course at the end there's also a greater crescendo, and you're going to want to make that really obvious as well. It would be appropriate to put a little vibrato on the longer notes if you're comfortable with that, as long as it's not going to throw you off or sound out of place. Number five. Same scale rules apply. Are you playing your key signature? Are you tonguing every note with a full length and, stately tongue? Is that a right word to use? I don't know. But you know how your E-flat scale works. That's all you need to know about that. Here's number six. Now, I'm not sure on the audio recording how well those dynamic changes are going to come across. Hopefully you'll be able to hear them, but the recorder, the microphone might automatically even them out. But the point is you need to make a huge difference between those dynamics. Style-wise, not much change. You can see in measure 3 the simile there. So you're always going to have staccato eighths and tenuto quarters. Da, 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 regardless of the dynamic. So your style, your tempo does not change. This is really listening for a consistent style while also showing your dynamic range. Number 7. There's a lot we could talk about with number 7. Rhythmically, we want to keep it very accurate, but it can't sound accurate. You know, we don't want those dotted 8/16ths to be da, 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 da. It needs to be flowing like a lullaby, but still right in time. Da, 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 da. So you can have those 16ths happening in your head the entire time on this one. In terms of breathing, I think you can do the normal phrasing wherever it feels natural, you know, which is typically going to be every 4 on this one. If you're playing a larger instrument, every 2 bars would be okay. Another thing I want to say about your third valve, you have a lot of low Ds and C sharps. If you're playing cornet, you can actually leave that third valve out for this entire piece because we don't have any other third valve notes that need to be in all the way, like any E flats or G sharps potentially. So that's what I did on the beginning. You probably saw that. Another thing to think about musically is to keep it smooth, right? There's a lot of jumps. Bum, 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 you know, and even in measure, whatever that is, looks like measure 6, where you go A, D, C natural. That's a lot of jumping around, but it can't sound like a lot of jumping around. Da, da, da. All right, let's make this nice and lyrical and connected, even as on the paper it might look a little bit disconnected. That's your job as a performer, is to smooth it out. And it's a beautiful one. Enjoy. 8. This 2-octave scale, it's a tricky one, okay? There's some squirrely notes up there as you get higher. And of course, we do have our C sharps and Ds, which should be pulled out, and then our G sharps, which typically don't have to be quite so far out. You're going to really have to listen, especially as you get to the top, that E, F sharp, G sharp, A. Do it slowly a few times, up and down, just to feel how those notes are connecting. There can be a natural break in the instrument there, and we want to try to smooth as much as possible. In terms of breathing, you're just going to have to pick pick an 8th note to breathe after. Da, 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 da. All right, make it quick and make it in time. I can do the whole thing in one breath, but you probably heard I took a breath right after the scale before the arpeggio. So do what you need to do there. This is a great exercise. Any 2-octave scale, nice and smooth, articulated. It's typically a legato articulation, nothing too crazy. It should sound pretty. All right, when you're doing a 2-octave scale like this, just connect from the top to the bottom. You can practice it slurred, practice it staccato, but as a performance, unless marked otherwise, you want to use that legato, smooth, full-length articulation. Number 9. Number 9 is a really fun one, but it's not super easy. It stays up there high the whole time. It's very orchestral. However, I would encourage you to think about it as a melody rather than a fanfare. You know, you can really hear that first measure, da, 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 but then it almost immediately goes into a more melodic type feel. So it's pretty full length notes, even though it has good solid articulation where written. It's perfectly appropriate to give it a little bit of vibrato, a little shimmer on those G's. But you want to keep it orchestral in nature as well. So very solid, very bold, very dinosaur-like, if you will. Yeah, I mean, there's not much to say about that one. If you're having trouble with those higher notes, with the B flats and the A's, it's pretty sustained up there the whole time. Well, first of all, start practicing it now and go for it, okay? And you've got plenty of time if you're practicing when this comes out to get more comfortable hitting those B flats every time. That last measure is a doozy. Bum, 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 bum. It's kind of weird, so you're going to need to practice that one too. When it comes to the actual audition, especially maybe you're like a tuba player and that's a little bit high for you, first of all, go for it if you're feeling good. If you're like, no, that's definitely out of my range and I know I'm never going to get it, and it's just going to be like, and you think you're just going to bomb because of that, sure, you know, you can make some decisions and decide what to drop the octave, and if you do that, make sure you can practice it that way. If I was listening and placing all of the performers, if somebody played that upper octave and just like did the thing I just did, blah, 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 over and over again, versus somebody who knew their limitation and played the lower octave where they had to a few times for a few measures, and they played it really well, I would, you know, I'd take that into consideration with the whole audition. So that's up to you, however you want to do that, but you definitely got to go for it and try it and practice. That's how you get better. Number 10. Now on the harmonic minor scale, obviously it sounds cool. You gotta admit it's an awesome scale, any harmonic minor scale. The thing to watch out for is the distance between a G and an A sharp, which is an augmented second. So it sounds a little weird to the ear. So you need to practice that interval in context and also isolate it, especially that upper octave, the upper G, G to A sharp. So, you know, do that a few times, maybe F, G, A sharp, B. So you can really get it in your ear and in your embouchure. It's a great scale. You notice I played that one a little bit louder, a little bit more excited, because I just liked the scale and it was fun. And I mean, that's okay. You know, you can make a melody out of it, make some music out of it, which you're supposed to do. So that's a great scale. The adjudicators are listening for your range. You know, this is towards the end of the sheet, so they're really thinking, is this person who can play, like maybe, you know, on the end chair or the front row in the top band, those kind of things. So they're really listening for a lot of that, for your musicality. It shouldn't sound like a hard scale. It should just sound like a cool scale. So make sure it sounds like that when you play it. Number 11. So number 11 is not particularly challenging in some ways. It doesn't go super high. It's not super fast. It's a little awkward. Some of the intervals, boo-wee, boo-wee, ba, you know, and the key signature is not that bad. But what it does need is it needs cleanliness. It needs a lot of style with it. It's not big and heroic like number 9, okay? It's a little bit more dance-like. It's almost closer to number 6 in style. Ta 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 ta, do we da. So keep it light, keep it in time. Play this with the metronome. The rhythm looks complicated because it's in 3/8, but you know, just think about where the beat is, right? Every eighth note gets the beat, ta, 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 and so your dotted 16th 30 seconds are just like a dotted 8th 16th, da, 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 da. All right, so those need to be crisp, da, 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 even though they're slurred, dia, dia, dia. All right, it's hard. That's the hard part. Those slurred upper fifths and octaves like that is tricky. Obviously, the second to the last measure is a doozy. This one is super hard. This is the hardest measure in the entire excerpt packet. The second to last measure in 11. So like starting from the bottom line, I would practice it super slowly and maybe even just slur the whole thing one note at a time or whatever you want to do to hear those pitches. Doesn't go where you think it's going to go. When it goes into triplet mode and those slurs, that's really awkward. Da 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 dia 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 da da da. Okay? Have fun with that. You guys are going to do great.